It's kind of funny. Pretty much universally, the very first thing a doctor asks you to do when you hop up on that exam table is stick out your tongue, right? We've all done it since we were kids. It seems like such a simple, honestly kind of silly request, but there is actually a profound, incredibly complex medical reason behind it that most of us just completely overlook.
So in today's explainer, we're going to unpack exactly that, the secret life of your tongue. And we're going to do it by looking at it exactly how our source material does. We're basically imagining that this highly intelligent, vastly underappreciated little organ is speaking directly to you, telling its own story. Because your tongue, it isn't just some muscle that helps you chew your food. It is a fascinating, lifelong mirror to your overall health and well-being.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're looking at 4 main areas. First, the magic of taste. Second, how the tongue acts as a mirror to your health. Third, what happens when taste fades away. And finally, the tongue as a priceless natural gift. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the magic of taste, and how it's a highly subjective experience.
Now this right here shatters a massive food myth. We all kind of assume that if we're sitting at a table eating the same meal, everyone is having the exact same flavor experience, right? But just like our eyesight or our hearing, our sense of taste is wildly subjective. Get this, a pure chemical like sodium can taste incredibly sweet to one person, while to the person sitting literally right next to them, it tastes completely bitter, or sour, or salty, or even entirely tasteless. No way, right? So if someone genuinely tells you they don't like a certain dish, it's not always them just being picky. It's quite literally how their unique sensory tools are wired. There's even solid evidence showing that our specific taste preferences and aversions are regularly passed down through our genetics.
And this subjectivity leads into an even more amazing ability, which is adaptation. Your tongue isn't just some static tool. It actually learns. For example, historically, a lot of people initially found Chinese food completely bland and tasteless on day 1. But weeks later, as they kept trying it, it gradually adapted to those new flavor profiles. Fast forward a few years, and boom, it becomes this favorite, highly sought-after acquired taste. Your tongue literally has the power to develop brand new capacities for enjoyment.
Which brilliantly illustrates one of your tongue's absolute greatest superpowers, its memory. Think about it. While our vision and our hearing often slowly fade as we get older, the tongue, it remembers a taste for a lifetime. Once it truly registers a flavor, it locks it away in its memory vault forever. And this incredible, lifelong retention is exactly why you'll often notice older folks becoming incredibly food conscious or even really particular about their meals. As their other senses start to dim, their tongue's memory stays incredibly sharp. It makes the joy of food even more central to their everyday lives.
Moving right along, that brings us to section 2, a mirror to your health, or as I like to call it, the diagnostic detective. Okay, so the crucial point here is clearing up a very old misconception. We have all seen a greenish-white coated tongue before, right? And the common knee-jerk assumption is usually, oh, that means bad digestion or chronic constipation. But actually, scratch that, it's not always the reality. You can find patients with severe chronic constipation whose tongues are perfectly clean, and entirely healthy people who have a thick coating. A lot of times, this coating is literally just harmless food particles and dead cells that have kind of settled onto the naturally rough, uneven surface of the tongue. Simply keeping up with basic oral hygiene is usually all it takes to clear the whole shebang right up. But this brings us back to exactly why doctors want to look in your mouth in the first place. The tongue acts as a literal alarm system for the body. It changes colors to reveal hidden underlying diseases. For instance, if a patient is suffering from anemia, a lack of blood, the tongue can actually transform into this beefy, deep red color, almost like raw beef. If a patient has jaundice, the tongue takes on a yellowish tint, and in the case of certain fungal infections, the tongue can turn completely black. It truly is the body's built-in diagnostic detective. It gives doctors an immediate visual screenshot of your internal health. Now let's shift gears a bit and look at section 3, when taste fades away, the medical realities. I want to introduce you to a specific and, frankly, very distressing medical condition called dysgeusia. This is a condition where your sense of taste becomes severely and unpleasantly altered. Just imagine waking up one day and the sweetness of your absolute favorite dessert tastes just awful to you. The thought of eating a piece of meat becomes completely repulsive, or everything just tastes painfully, overwhelmingly salty. It's actually a pretty common condition, and the fascinating part is the root cause. It is frequently triggered by a simple zinc deficiency. Yep, If your diet lacks zinc or your body just isn't absorbing it properly, this sensory nightmare can happen. But the good news, if that zinc deficiency is fixed, the condition usually completely disappears. Now, while dysgeusia alters and twists your sense of taste, there's an even more severe condition called hypogeusia. This one is characterized by a significant reduction, or in really severe cases, a complete loss in the ability to taste food altogether. Those tiny sensory bumps on the tongue, they just simply lose their sensitivity.
And the impact of this is absolutely devastating. Without taste, a deliciously prepared chicken roast suddenly just feels like you're chewing on soft, tasteless rubber. The subtle sweetness of a cup of tea completely vanishes, forcing you to just dump in extra sugar hoping to register something, anything on your palate. The ultimate result of this condition is an extreme loss of joy in eating. Because when the pleasure of food vanishes, even the most exquisite dish in the world becomes entirely useless to you. And you can probably guess where that leads. It frequently spirals into severe disappointment and deep emotional depression for the patient.
Which naturally brings us to our final part today, Section 4, a priceless natural gift, gratitude for the senses.
When we really step back and look at all the incredible senses we possess, taste truly stands out in a category all of its own. It is arguably the most enjoyable and pleasure-filled sense of the entire human body. It provides this daily, recurring joy and a profound level of satisfaction that no other single organ can quite match. I mean, it's a sensory experience that brings just unmatched delight to our everyday lives.
So the core takeaway of this entire explainer is captured perfectly in this quote, spoken directly from the perspective of the tongue itself. It says, "I am a priceless gift from God. No scientist or doctor could ever replicate even one of my abilities." Think about the weight of that statement for a second. With all of our crazy modern medical and scientific advancements, if we were to gather all the top scientists in the world in one room, they could not manufacture a tool that gives you the free, unrequested abilities your tongue gives you every single day. If a human being were to give you even one of these incredible abilities, you'd be indebted to them for the rest of your life.
Which brings us to our final question for you. Knowing all of this now, understanding the tongue's incredible lifelong memory, its role as a literal diagnostic detective for hidden diseases, and the sheer unmatched joy it provides to our daily lives, will you ever take the magic of a simple meal for granted again? It's a pretty profound thought, isn't it? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. And hey, the next time you sit down to eat, I hope you take just a moment to appreciate the true magic happening right there in your mouth.